right. Evening, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of the Gecko Exchange podcast. Today we got Mr. Wally Kern on.
The man,
Wally wants to,
the legend.
yeah, yes. You
No,
want
no,
to?
no, no, no.
Most people, I'm sure, already know you. Do you want to maybe do a brief, descriptive overview of your your herp history, as we would say?
I can't do anything brief, but I'll try. I've been I'm going to work my way backwards. Let's do something different. I'm going to work my way backwards. I've been
All
keeping
right.
animals, reptiles for about 22, 23. I think I said 22 for about 5 years, so maybe it's more than 22 years. Started with leopard geckos. The next year it went right into, actually, no, it started with veiled chameleons. Then it went into panther chameleons. Then the next year I decided to diversify a little bit. Then I went into leopard geckos. So talk about going from the high end down to the lower end. So like year 3, I was doing crested geckos, and then year 4, I was doing it as a business. And from there, it just took off. And again, this is back 25 years or so when there wasn't a lot of confirmed kind of information out there.
Yeah.
Heat rocks, don't use heat rocks. That was the big issue back 25 years ago. So we've advanced so much in the last 20 years. I'm going to take a step back. For about 10 years, I focused on my career quite a bit. I was into, and since retired, last 5 years I've been retired, but I was into computers, technician, programmer, analyst, project management. And again, 5 years ago, I retired to focus entirely on reptiles. But for about 10 years over there before reptiles, it was a lot of career, a lot of travel overseas, in the country, a lot of travel, 100% focused on career and the family. Before that, and a lot of the knowledge that I've gained and been able to share with the reptiles, I gathered from keeping tropical fish. There's a tank back there that's empty right now, but it'll be filled pretty soon. But for about 10 years or so, I was heavily involved with tropical fish. So a lot of the setup, a lot of the care that I gained from tropical fish, we were shipping animals all over the United States, getting animals in from Germany, little tropical fish, big styrofoam boxes from Germany and Africa. A lot of that knowledge went right into the reptile keeping hobby. How to set up a new enclosure, how to, you know, get established soil to start, the seeding process. A lot of that information came from the tropical fish. And I still reference back to tropical fish all the time. So tropical fish, orchids fit in there for a while, somewhere in there, and then right into reptiles about 20, 25 years ago.
That's awesome.
Nice.
That's awesome.
Well, so I really wanted to get on here and talk about your Pictus geckos. Um, how long have you been working with those? Because I've seen them off and on throughout my years in the hobby, and now, like, since I've been really paying attention to you, I've noticed that they're starting to gain in some popularity.
It's that's been a long journey. So if people don't know me by now, it depends on what time of the day it is, on what my passion is currently with reptiles, especially geckos. Um, I shift gears so frequently, but one of the things that has been a stable part of my collection has been crested geckos and leopard geckos. There was a point when I was doing lots and lots of leopard geckos. I think we were producing about 500 leopard geckos a year, and probably another 250 to
Man,
500, depending on the year, crested geckos and gargoyles. I've eased down in leopard geckos, we're still producing a lot of crested geckos, but that helps me from a financial standpoint to maintain my hobby, my interest, my passion with other animals. So it was shortly after I started that I started keeping rarer geckos and looking for something different, something small. I've always thought if I didn't keep reptiles, and got into dart frogs instead, small enclosures, this house would have been filled with dart frogs. So there's where my interests are: small, little, tiny geckos. I'm not, so I'm keeping New Caledonia. I'm keeping crested geckos. I've kept, kahuas. Never kept lychees. Too big, too much room. I can't keep the same number of animals in the same space. So small animals, I've always had a passion about small, rare animals. So about 15 or 16 years ago, I started keeping Periodora picta. And it's one of those animals that you see on tables at reptile shows for 25 or $30. And back then, they were all imported. Nobody was really working with Periodora picta. A few people were in the hobby. A few people were, and they were doing really nice with some of the different morphs of Periodora picta. Periodora picta is only a 4-inch gecko, Madagascar ground gecko, ocellated gecko. It has 150 other common
Hmm.
names, I think. Um, so I decided to, let me play around with that. Something interesting, something different. Well, little did I know that it's it would become my favorite gecko. I've kept probably about 150 different species of geckos, and Periodor picta is easily my favorite because of two reasons. If I'm wearing my breeder hat, Periodor picta has, kind of like fat tails, no stripes and stripes, reticulated or normal and stripes. And the stripes are thin and they're bigger and bigger and bigger. So you can line develop that stripe to be really super big. And some people have developed that stripe to be a 3 stripe. So, a lot of different directions with morphs. It's kind of like the leopard gecko situation was maybe 15 years ago with all of these different traits and genes going all over the place. So that's my breeder hat. The fascination with all of these different colors and patterns, and every single Periodor picta that we produce just looks a little bit different from the last one that we produced. Different, something tricky there going on. Now, if I
Hmm.
turn my hat the other way, and now I am a vendor at reptile shows, I can take a Periodora picta out of a cup, and a little 8-year-old can be standing there. Can I hold a gecko? And I can go, absolutely. Now, crested gecko is going to jump all over the place, so I'm going to have to stand right here, and it's going to be tricky, and maybe you're going to get afraid of a crested gecko jumping, but a Periodor picta. We'll see if we can focus here, folks. I don't know if we're going to get a good look at that. Maybe if I cover up my face here, maybe not. Maybe we won't get a focus, but we'll see if we can
Yeah.
work on the focus here. But Periodor picta is just the most gentle little animal.
Oh,
So cute. Maybe if I get out of frame, maybe that will help. Maybe not. Sorry, folks. I wish I could focus better. But Periodor picta is just the cutest little gecko. Not much of a requirement other than heat and live food, just like leopard geckos. It just jumped into the cup. So we've kept Periodor picta for about 15 years or so, and just loved it because I can take them to shows. I can show them off, and it's a great beginner gecko. Um, like I said, not many requirements. They actually are from an area where it's, in between the desert and the tropical. So you can go either way with, you know, putting them into a bioactive enclosure, or you can go with a sand enclosure. It really doesn't matter too much. Um, Easy to breed, super easy to breed. We've been breeding them since I've had them. They're little rabbits. They breed like crazy and easy to care for the babies, easy to bring up the babies. So,
Yeah.
absolutely a great gecko if you're just getting into geckos or getting into reptiles for that matter. Or if you're really into the high end, I want something really super cool. I've been playing around with the genes for about 5 or 6 years now, and I've produced whites and reds and
oh.
the males, the broad stripe. I have a 3 stripe downstairs, so there's just all kinds of possibilities there as well. Very, very cool.
Yeah, I've been watching you for a while now, Wally. I mean, you're literally like, I feel like I'm talking to a celebrity right now.
Oh my gosh, no,
It,
no, no, no.
it's amazing to watch a man with your passion, right? Because we see a lot of breeders. We talk to a lot of breeders. We deal with a lot of people from different walks of life. Very rarely do we have the opportunity to speak or watch and learn from someone with a passion that you have, and it shows in your work, man. I mean, it really does in your YouTube videos, your posts. I mean, your passion shines through everything, man. And it's I've learned so much just from watching you, man. It's you do some phenomenal things, man, and it's you're such a paragon to the hobby, man. And I mean that. I mean, just listening to you talk and putting geckos in children's hand. You have a plan for everything. You've thought everything out. You know how this goes. You know how to bring people in. You know how to cater to everyone's desire that's in the hobby. I mean, it's I,
I really appreciate that,
celebrity.
and I don't look at myself that way whatsoever, not
Sure
even
you
in the
don't.
least.
I'm sure
It's
you don't.
it's it's all about passion. It's all about passion, and I've had that. I had the passion with fish. And when I started geckos, I had the passion with geckos. Every time I go downstairs, I've said this over and over and over. The minute that I go downstairs and I open up that incubator and I find a baby, and it doesn't make my heart skip a beat, I'm done. I'm done with the hobby because that's what the excitement is. The first time that I go to a reptile show and a little kid asks, "Can I hold a gecko?" and and if I'm thinking, no, that's going to stop me from making a sale, I'm done because Nanette said this over. My wife Nanette has said this over and over and over again. I'm talking, I'm talking, and she'll just kind of give me that look like, we're here, for this show, so we do need to sell some animals. Um, I find
Gotta cover that
myself,
tape.
right, I find myself chatting and, just sharing the passion. And if my feeling is, if I could give one piece of advice to anybody in the hobby that's taking this to the business level, don't sell animals. Don't sell animals. Don't do the sales thing. Sell your passion, sell your interest, sell the education, sell the knowledge, sell the I'm here to help you. You take this animal home. We'll talk about the price and we'll talk about that crap later, but I'm here. You get an animal, and this is now a long term relationship. So if you're getting into the business, again, and I know you guys, this isn't a business show, but if you're getting into the business end of things, sell your passion.
That's the truth, man. That's some of the best advice I've ever heard, man.
Yeah.
It really is, man. I mean, let's be honest, and I'm not here to bash anybody or anything that anyone does. With the saturation that's in the hobby today, I'd be lying if I said I didn't get aggravated with every time I see someone post a picture of a crested gecko saying, "Should I breed this? What should I breed this to?" Or, "Oh, I'm gonna get it's." If you don't have a passion for a project or a passion for something that you genuinely want to make, I mean, we don't need people just making geckos. Like it's easy that anyone can do. If you can breed with that passion like you're talking about, don't doesn't matter what you think anyone thinks. Someone's gonna want what you're breeding because you have that passion. That passion is literally, like you said, what sells an animal. It's an animal bred with passion needs no sales pitch.
Right
It's
on. I
Yeah.
mentioned before, Anthony, that, I used to do a lot of leopard geckos,
mm,
and we scaled way back. I think this year we're probably going to breed 10 or 12 females, maybe not even that, maybe 8. Doesn't
mm,
matter. But I'll kind of expand on what you just said. It took about 2 years of producing 300 or 400 animals, 500 animals last year of leopard geckos, to the point where at the end of the year it was like I'm I'm a leopard gecko factory, and that's not why I'm doing this. I'm making a lot of money. I'm getting exposure. I'm getting credibility, but I feel like I'm producing too many animals here to focus on the genetics and the
mm.
care of individual animals. And that moment I took out my spreadsheet. I'm a big spreadsheet person. I took out my spreadsheet and said, okay, for next year we're going to go from breeding, I don't even know how many, 40 or 50 females, maybe more. We're going to breed 10. That's all we're going to breed from now on, so I can focus and I can regain that
mm.
flame instead of feeling like, Walmart and the checkout counter and, okay, here's your animal, give me your money. So
Yeah.
if that's what you're into, it, it's going to, maybe if you have the business mind, if you have that sense about it, you're going to be successful, but there's going to be, unfortunately, a limit to how successful you can be, because you're not going to have that passion, and it's just going to burn out.
That's the
And it's
truth.
not going to take long,
Yeah.
right?
Truth. I mean, I,
Yep.
I don't have nearly as big as a collection, or an operation as you do. And I ask myself daily, would I want to buy this? Or would you want to buy what these are going to potentially make? Would you want what these things are going to make in your collection? Are you going to maybe make something that's going to change the hobby? And if I can't justify it in any which way, I don't need pairs. I don't need to breed them. I can enjoy them as pets alone in their cages, or give them to a child or a family or someone that will. There's so many, and I'm not bashing anyone that does. Like, there's
No.
companies out there that are producing hundreds of geckos to fill
Yep.
these voids. And let's be honest, people and Petcos, as much as people bash them, Petcos and PetSmarts are always going to sell these geckos, man. They're
Yep.
always going to sell the geckos. And I'm a little biased on that too. And I'm not in as bad of a way as you would think. I genuinely believe those big box stores bring a lot of people to the hobby. When a little kid's walking down an aisle and he may see a gecko that's not the best, it still sparks an interest. And
Yes.
more people walk into
Yeah.
big box pet stores than they do just randomly find themselves in a reptile show. So I appreciate them in a sense. And with that being said, there's always going to be that void to be filled with the breeder, breeding a bunch of them and whatnot. But again, I think those people probably have lots of employees, so it's not like it's a one-man operation where you're going to get burnt out. Like you were saying, like if I have 10 pairs that are almost the same and they're making all the same stuff, it's just another egg hatching. It's
Yeah.
just another
Yes.
one that's probably going to look like the last. And for me personally, that's not what keeps my flame lit. And it sounds like kind of like where you're going with it, but I mean, you've withstood the hands of time for a reason, Wally. I mean, we were watching videos of you. I think the other day I was looking up some species, and sure enough, it was you from like 9 years ago with
Oh gosh,
what
don't watch those.
back
Don't watch those terrible videos.
Wally, man.
That's
Wally,
called perseverance, Wally. You've been in this for a
Yeah,
while.
yeah. I've
Yeah, that's
persevered.
perseverance right
I'm
there.
not old. I've persevered.
There you go.
if you didn't have the passion, you wouldn't be here, man. We've
Yeah,
Right.
been around long enough to watch the COVID boom and whatnot. And we all see the people selling out right now and the craze that came through. And, I say it, and not to be rude in any way to people, but I say it all the time. Like, see ya. You didn't have the passion to begin with. You were looking for something to do. And I don't blame you, but you were just
Yep.
looking for something to do when you were locked in your house. But
Yep.
now, the people with the passion, dude, we'll see who's who now, who really cares, whose, intentions are with the animals and not sales or friends or whatever. It's and I don't knock them, because we're better off.
No.
You're better off with less breeders with more passion than more breeders and less passion.
definitely.
It's better for the animals. It's better for the health of the animals. It's better for the longevity of the hobby. I mean, there's so many pluses. So many people look at the negative, and I try not to. Who wants to look at all the negative? Oh, they're leaving. They were here for the wrong reasons. They had their own reasons. It's not
Yep.
you to say it's right or wrong. It was their reasons.
I
You
mean,
know?
we've, I don't know about everybody, but I've certainly done that in the past where, I've gotten into Beanie Babies when they were popular, Pokemon when it was, but my gosh, now I'm really aging myself. When Pokemon came out,
Everybody like
the
Pokemon. You're good.
playing the card game with the kids, and something like that was a 3 or 4 year venture, and then I moved on. I think we all have hobbies, or we've done things that have been 2 or 3 years, and then we've moved on. Like you said, if you're in it for the long haul, then you're thinking about projects. You're thinking about not just what I'm going to do next year. I'm going to have 100 babies, and I need 100, enclosures or containers, and I'm going to do reptile show. You're thinking, like you said before, man. Like you said before, why am I buying this animal? Well, I'm buying this animal so next year I can produce this animal, so that then I can breed it over to something that I already have, so that 2 years from now I can start getting babies, and then I'll hold them back, and then 5 years from now I can produce a better and then a better animal. And then 5 years from now, I can take those to a reptile show or I can put them on
Oh,
Morph Market or something like that. 5 years from now, I'm going to do this. So the people that can plan out, and I keep saying this, but I have my spreadsheet and I literally have a 5 year plan with some of the animals and some of the things that I want to do
awesome.
in the hobby and
That's
some of the
awesome.
things that I want to do with the business. And if I don't make the mark, then I didn't make the mark. Then I need to refine and change it. But that shows that I'm thinking that I'm going to be in this hobby for at least 5 years. God help me stay on the earth for another 5 years, but I'm going to have fun for another 5 years. And this is where I want to be in 5 years.
That's great.
Nice.
Some of the
So,
most, I
so
mean, you know,
speaking of,
I'm sure plenty of business books, man, but I dabble in lots of, business literature, man. I mean, no successful man, even if whether he met his goals or not, didn't have a plan. Gotta have a plan.
Yes.
It's says a lot about you, but again, it shows. Man, I sound like a fanboy, but it shows in everything you do. I mean, you literally are. I mean, I'm speaking for myself. I can speak for hundreds of people that I know. I mean, you set a perfect model for people to almost, I don't want to say follow or copy, but people do. People look at Supreme Gecko and they're like, this is what he's doing. This is what he's done. This is, I mean, it's you have a beautiful operation. You have a beautiful operation, and you make adjustments. I've just myself over the last couple of years, I've watched you adjust a couple times from swapping species to different things with isopods. Dude, I watch you adapt.
It and I greatly appreciate that. It's a little bit embarrassing whenever, when you're saying it and when I'll meet somebody at a reptile show and we sell, shirts and we for our special Christmas event, we sold a special shirt and we had a family come up and the kids wanted me to sign, with a Sharpie their shirt and it's embarrassing and it's like
Rockstar Wally.
this is not right.
How beautiful
Um,
out though, Wally. Those
it's
those kids are
cool, and I appreciate it, and it makes for the I look at it as this is part of the event and the fun that we had with the Christmas event, but I just can't see it as me. This isn't me because I'm online probably about 3 hours a day. So we're doing the videos, we're doing shorts, we're doing long form, we're doing the planning, we're doing marketing, we're doing sales page, we're doing the store page, and then I've got time down in the facility. I got family time and time to watch the Brewers and the Cubs, but I'm spending probably 2 or 3 hours a day just on answering messages on YouTube or Facebook or Instagram, and not one of those moments do I feel. And I hope I don't come off as this. Not one minute do I ever feel like I'm here and you're here, so I'm going to spend as little time as I possibly can. Every single person that sends me a question, I hope that I'm answering in the way that you and I are talking right now. This is
mm,
you have a question. You don't have the experience in this area. I've had 22 years of doing things the wrong way, so let me teach you the things that you shouldn't be doing. And that hopefully is how I come across to people, when I'm answering these questions. Not
you
not
do.
oh, Wally's not approachable. That's the last thing that I want to come
No.
across as.
Sad thing is there is breeders that are, unfortunately, and I'm not, they probably have their own stuff going on, but one of the things to me that's always been so appealing about you is, maybe it was 2 3 years ago now, I had wrote something on one of your YouTube videos and you responded. I went to my wife, I'm like, would you believe this guy responded to me? Like, this guy, he's got all this going on, and oh my god, and he actually answered me. Like, I bought geckos from big names, right, that won't respond to a comment or a question I'll ask. I've never haven't purchased a gecko from you yet, and you responded. You're very humble, and that's very alluring to a lot of these people and kids. It's again, you know what you're doing with your business, and that's how you do good business. You
But
very
again, that's fun for me. It's fun answering these questions. And my only problem with something like that is, so you can be on YouTube as Gecko King 43 or something like that. And then I'll meet, and you and I are talking right here. I know you now, Anthony. It's Anthony. So if you're Anthony on Facebook, or if you're Anthony, or you come to a reptile show, hey, it's Anthony. We talked to, cool, and the gears just immediately. But if you come to me and yeah, I'm Gecko Keeper 43, and I talked to you about the leopard geckos, and you helped me with the substrate, I'm like, what the? Oh my god! I have no idea who this person is. So it's like, okay, I need these little clues. Okay, oh, was that about a month ago? No, that was like 6 months ago. So I put
Oh,
the puzzle together eventually, and it's like, that's Anthony. Now, okay, now we're friends. Now I know.
I
It
get,
takes me a while.
I get it. I
Yeah.
can only
So,
imagine.
so speaking of your 12 Supreme Days of Christmas, how did that come about? Like, how long have you been doing that now?
Oh, I think we're in our 14th year.
Ooh, that long.
It came about. We've done it for. I should say it like this. We've done it 14 years. I think it started 17 years ago. I took a little bit of a break because of work,
Oh,
but this is a funny story, and thank you for asking this. I appreciate that. It helps me share how fun and spontaneous this really was. Driving home from work one day, and your mind is, so when I'm at work, when I was at work, my mind was focused and I'm getting the job done. But the second I'm away from work, then I'm focused on Supreme Gecko. Should I sell mealworm cups on the store? So I'm thinking about all kinds of other things. I'm listening to the music, and it's coming. It was probably the day after Thanksgiving when they start playing Christmas music, and the 12 days of Christmas came on the first day of. I thought, wow, I wonder if I could give away a gift 12 days in a row. 12 days in a row. I could give away 12, and sure enough, that first year I put together probably about $200 worth of gifts, something, small, but it meant a lot to me. I think the last gift was $100 gift certificate, but the first gift was a little diet cup for $1. I'll mail you a diet cup for $1. You won day one. So that first year was 12 gifts, literally 12 gifts, day one, and we skipped a day, day two, skipped a day, and so on. And we always finished it before Christmas Eve. Christmas Eve and Christmas are hands off. That's family time. That's not, don't get away. Get away and be with your family. That's always my mentality. So the first year was 200 or $250 we gave away. The second year, people came to me and said, hey, that was really fun. Could I contribute something? And the second year was like, I don't know. I didn't think there was through that much. And so we added to it. And I think the second year we were around $500. Mind blowing. People want to be a part of giving away. This is so cool. And what was cool that second year was people were having fun giving things away. And it wasn't just Wally having fun giving things away. And what was really cool is people in the lives that we do for the 12 Supreme Days of Christmas, people are coming in, oh, I was in last year and I won this. And somebody else will say, oh yeah, Becky, that was fun meeting you. And at that point it was like, we just won. We won the jackpot right there, that people are talking amongst themselves and building up this positive and being a part of something at Christmas time when we need to share and talk about good things. And so that was year two, and we kept building and building and building. I'm going to jump all the way to last year. Last year was 2023. We started, again, the day after November. I'm going to throw some numbers out there, and I hate doing this because it sounds like I'm monetizing this whole thing, but it's just a way that I can quantify what we did. So last year was the 13th year. We gave away. People donating to the event donated 500 gifts. We had $60,000 in gifts
Man.
given
ooh,
away last year. We had, so again, 500 people, about
beautiful.
500 people won gifts through this event. Um, And again, go to a reptile show. Oh, I had so much fun with the 12, and I met this person I didn't know that they kept this animal. And we do a scavenger hunt where we put something like a snowman on 4 or 5 of the donors' pages, and people have to find the snowman. And I cannot tell you guys how many times people came to me and said, I was looking for jumping spiders. I didn't know Joe's geckos down the block that I've been going to forever and seeing at shows. I didn't know they had jumping spiders. So now I'm getting my jumping spiders from Joe's geckos down the block. So just kind of putting that whole thing together, and more importantly, building the community, acknowledging the donors, giving away prizes, but umbrellaing that whole thing is building the community in a very, very, very positive way. So
Absolutely.
it's been a huge success from many different aspects. But again, the thing that really, you know, gets my heart jumping is people talking amongst themselves on Facebook or any social media and saying 12 Supreme Day, don't forget the 12 Supreme Days of Christmas are coming up and you want to be a part of it. And super, super cool. Super
You get
cool.
the whole community buzzing, Wally. I won last
Yeah.
year. I won a book from you. I won
Did
a
you
book
really?
from Rob's
Oh, right
finding.
along, Rob.
Yeah, I won
Rob's
the
right
one of the
along.
book you wrote.
Very
So
cool. Very cool.
very,
Congratulations.
very cool. But
Yeah.
I mean, in all honesty, I mean, I even asked Jason, dude. You get the whole community buzzing, dude. Like everybody that has a gecko is like, Wally 12 Day Supreme Gecko, sign up. So everyone's sharing and sending and back and forth. I mean, it's probably year round wise, right, Jay? Like you probably create the biggest seasonal buzz any one person does. And I know donors donate everything, but you probably create the single most biggest season buzz within the hobby, man. And it's again, like you said, imagine I mean, God only knows the relationships that you help forge and the networking. I mean, that's all from just you, from the kindness of your heart, man. It's one of the coolest, if not the coolest thing that any one person does for the hobby collectively, without a doubt.
Yeah.
It shocks me every single year how much more we build on this. And I say we because it's the donors and it's the
Mm.
community. All I'm doing is all I'm doing is
All
taking
the
notes.
hard work.
All I'm doing is taking notes. Okay, we've got this gift, and Anthony won the book. That's all I'm doing. Okay, Robert, you have to contact Anthony and do the whole exchange thing. That's all I'm doing.
Yeah, you do the other hard work. You like to be on live and do the whole YouTube thing, and people always talking with you. That's the hard part right there. Like, I was super happy that you asked me to do it, and I was super appreciative that everybody reached out to me and said thank you and thank you. It made me feel, it makes you feel good,
Yeah.
and I get to. I hope I get to participate this year again as well.
One, it would be our pleasure and honor. Absolutely, absolutely. Every year, one of the special things that I did, like year 3 or 4, was like on on day 11. Um, I put out a survey, and we've gone over to Google Forms and Google Sheets, and this has worked out really well. I put out a survey, and I ask everybody to enter for today. You have to tell me one thing, or tell me many, many things. Tell me how this can be improved. Tell me how you can get more out of this event. And I take those comments very seriously, and I look at every single one, and I try to balance. And there's some things that we can't do. You should have the lives at 4 in the afternoon because I have to go in at 6 o'clock. We should have the lives at 10 p.m. because I work until 9. So you should have the lives only on Saturdays or Sundays. So there's things that I wish I could, appease or provide for everybody, but there's a balance act. But
Mm.
this year we had well over, oh gosh, 500 comments, suggestions,
Really?
and there were dozens that I read through. I'm reading through everything, and I'm seeing some of the same things. But there were probably a couple dozen where it was like that right there. That's a good suggestion. We're going to work toward changing it. So every year I look at this and say we're close to being perfect. We have so much to improve on. What I'd like to do is make it more interactive. The biggest thing that I want to do, and I struggle with this every single year, is I want to acknowledge the donors more and give more credit to the donors and more attention to every single one of the donors. I feel like sometimes during the lives, we're just reading off donor names, vendor breeder names, and giving away prizes. And I know people don't want to stay for 4 hours during a live session, and it's gifts and giveaway and 20 minutes. Okay, let's get out of here in 20 minutes. So there's that, but I want to balance also giving credit to these donors that are contributing, whether it's a $20 pendant or a $1,000 gecko. Every single donor I want to give credit as much as possible to, so we get recognition and we get attention to these wonderful donors.
Yeah. Well,
So
this
that's
year
my
you
goal this year.
did an amazing job with how you had, like, I don't know what you called them, but like the breeder highlights, like you had some of the breeders introduce themselves this year. Like that was loved it.
Yes, yes.
You put a face to a name and I don't remember if they mentioned what they were some did mention what they were donating, and it was a very nice touch. I understand you probably can't do that for how many people donated all the gifts. That'd be pretty time consuming, but it was a very nice touch. And I understand too. Super humbling of you. It shows your character, man. Because these guys are donating, yes, and it does feel good to give, but you are doing the hard work, Wally. You're the one dealing with the numbers and the organizing. I mean, it's easy, maybe not so much for everyone to give, but it's so much easier for us to give a gift than it is to sit there and orchestrate the whole thing, dude. You're going for 12 days, 13 days when you do your extra day, the makeup day. It's like, and then how many three pulls a day, or sometimes six, depending on the prizes. I mean, you do so much work, man. So much work for that, dude.
It
It's very appreciated too in the community. I'm sure plenty of people told
Mhm.
you, but I mean, just from my side of the table, everybody appreciates what you do. It's a
I
beautiful.
again, I cannot thank you enough. I cannot thank you enough for the shout out for the event. We're going to keep this going as long as we possibly can. We'd love to have more donors. So, one comment said we should limit the number of donors and the number of gifts because it gets to be too big. If I can, that's not the donor's fault.
Mm,
That's not the event's fault. That's my fault for not being able to provide a means to do that better and in a more timely fashion, and make it so that we're not taking 4 hours of everybody's time every other day. So that's my job in this whole event, is to you donate your wonderful gifts. My job is to make sure that you get recognition and you get your gifts in, and people get a chance to win that gift. So that's something that I need to figure out. So I have a number of different tasks on my list before November. Your thought about the vendors' videos, that's another big one on my list,
mm.
is how do we triple that for next year? I think we had a dozen different little videos, two,
Yeah.
3 minutes. I want to triple, if not quadruple that for next year, so that we get more exposure to all of
Mhm.
these donors. And like you said, we get a face to a name to what they're doing in the hobby. So I really want to stress that this year.
Yeah, it was a nice touch. Again, if it didn't cost you more work, but then again, I mean, you don't want to take. You keep saying I want to take up more people's time, or 4 hours. I mean, I guess there's a need for the shorts and the longs, but I love the long ones. Wally, I sit in my room and I'm cleaning cages for hours, and I'm like, just go, Wally, let's go. It's
I
awesome.
do the I do the same thing. I'll turn on somebody's video. I'll turn on oh my gosh, there's so many I can't even think of a
Yeah.
name right now, but I'll turn on somebody's video. So I'll either what I watch are reptile videos or podcasts or business related or social media improvement, things like that. So I've learned that I can only listen to reptile discussions, because if I listen to something business, I'm cleaning and then I'm running over to my phone and I'm stopping and I'm taking notes, and it's like, oh, hit the save, hit watch later too, so I can go back and rewind. So after a while, it's like, you can't do that. Silly Wally, just listen to something fun and entertaining, and just get back to work and stop thinking you can take all these notes on business stuff. So I'm the same way, man. I'll turn on something and have at it with the geckos.
Yeah, so with a collection like that, what's like the you have like a daily set schedule routine on what you're doing? Because you have a like pretty substantial collection. One day I hope I get there, but not right now.
I What a wonderful question. I have to. And actually I have it on my board right here. So the very first thing that I do, because I do have to sell, that's what our number one job kind of is here, I guess. Nanette tells me that's our number one job. So I have to sell. So in the morning, I'll check messages, I'll check email, I'll check Facebook, I'll check YouTube, I'll answer YouTube messages, I'll go jump on it. So I'll go through messages and I'll answer as much as I possibly can. Um, and if I have some correspondence back and forth, I was interested in this animal. Do you have a pair of it? So I'll keep those correspondence going. Or if I have a research kind of question with another keeper going back, so I'll keep that stuff going. So in the morning, the very first thing that I do is eat my fruity pebbles, and I go through social media and I do the answering of messages for about an hour or so. Maybe I'll go online and I'll look at the latest news for a couple of minutes or see if the Cubs won or lost, and I'm jumping out. So after that, then I'm downstairs. And I break my day up a lot. So I go downstairs, I work an hour or two. I'm not downstairs usually I'm not downstairs all day. You're talking about the collection. Just to give a perception or perspective of what we're doing here, we're running um, about 250 breeder enclosures, and we're running probably about 500 baby grow out tubs and enclosures, just to give everybody an understanding. So in the morning, an hour or two, I go downstairs. I'm cleaning gecko poop or I'm checking for eggs, and I'm doing something. And the previous day, I've already kind of mapped out. I want to do task one, task two, task three during the day. So get done with the animals, and then I'm probably going on social media to put some shorts together or putting together a script for a long form YouTube video, or I'm going to TikTok and I'm doing my dance on TikTok, or I'm doing something kind of from a social media standpoint. Lunchtime, I take my 15-minute nap after lunch while I'm watching the news, and right after that, then I'm downstairs again for another hour or two. Um, and I'm doing something special project, fixing electricity. Always fixing electricity. I hate fixing electricity. So I'm doing something like that. Maybe I'm feeding, and at that point, I'm back upstairs and I'm maybe finishing off a long form. I'm recording a long form video. I'm doing something like that. Maybe catching up on some more correspondence. And then I'm downstairs again for another couple of hours. At that time, my wife comes home. We have dinner. We relax. We watch maybe a couple of shows on TV. And then at night, I'm back on social media doing some research for the day. And then at the end of the day, I'm planning for the next day. I have a tool that I use called Notion. It's kind of like a spreadsheet, but more of a note-taking app it helps me keep track of my day-to-day activities. So for 10 minutes, I'm in there before bedtime, and I'm putting together my schedule for the next day. I want to, and I'm not down to 5-minute tasks, and I'm feed the geckos. I know I have to feed the geckos, but I'm putting in, things that I really want to get done outside of the day to day kind of things. And then my night's done, and then I'm in bed watching TikTok until 3 in the morning.
So I know
Oh, I've been there.
you deal with some bugs too, right? You deal with some feeders and some isopods. Where do you find the time for that?
Well, you had commented earlier. What a wonderful segue here. You had commented earlier that a couple of years ago, you saw some things changing with Supreme Gecko. That was a big change. So, Nanette, my wife, has taken on a couple of tasks. She does shipping. She does shipping. So there's a point where orders come in. I review the orders. I maybe answer questions, potential prospects, back and forth, back and forth. But once the order is in, then I dump it. I hand it off to Nanette, and she takes it from there, and she plans all the shipping and everything at that point. She does the tracking number, she does all the correspondence. I
That's
kind of
awesome.
feel a little bit like I'm passing off and I'm not taking responsibility, but it gets back to she specializes in that and she takes
Okay.
care of that. The other thing that she does is the isopods now. So I love the isopods. I love keeping track of them. I'm still checking the isopods. I'm still feeding occasionally, but we on a weekly basis, she's the one that's taking care
Okay.
of the isopods and
No.
and doing the special things. Now, when I get new isopods, I set them up. I move cultures when they're growing to new cultures, but for the most part, for shows, she's collecting the isopods, and that's her side of the table is dealing with the isopods and the Supreme Isopod Chow and the other foods that we have.
Cool, man.
I get to talk geckos all day. I have my geckos. Okay, I have my geckos right here. I'm talking geckos, and she does all the other crappy
You
stuff.
guys make a great team, Wally. You really
It
do.
oh, I don't
You
know where
really,
I'd be without Nanette.
yeah.
Yeah, I need to find someone like that that deals with bugs as well. Like that's
I don't
very
know.
hard to find.
I no idea. I'm the luckiest guy in the whole world. I really
Yeah.
am.
She's
Really am.
you can tell that, and I don't know her, but I've watched her for years now, and it's almost like not that she doesn't have the passion, but she has so much faith in you in for your passion that she's just adopted it as her way of life and will support you through whatever you decide. And she's you got a one of a kind, dude. She's a that woman loves you. She loves you. She's got your back, and she's hell of a teammate, Wally. Hell of a teammate.
And you're absolutely right. I don't think I know she doesn't have the same passion as I, but she has the same focus and the same goals and the same um I guess path. We're on the same path, absolutely. But she's a special person to be able to jump in and share my passion. Even though she doesn't have the same passion, she can share the passion with me and understand what I'm trying to do. So
Yeah.
absolutely. I'm blessed for sure.
Yes. Yes.
So speaking of isopods, so the isopod child. So how long was like the research and development for that?
So isopods were super hot. I don't know, 7 8 years ago. They've been in the hobby for many 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 years.
Mm.
But about 7 8 years ago, they really started becoming hot. They really started taking off, and I started doing videos, and I started making my own food. Oh my gosh, I can't afford. I've got 150 different isopod containers here. I can't keep buying these tubs of food every single month or so. I've got to figure out a way. So did my research, put together a food recipe, modified it back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. Finally came to this seems to be, and I'd run it for a month or two. Does it seem like are they, number one, are they eating as much? Are they consuming the same amount? Number two, are they breeding, consistently? So I played around with probably 4 iterations of this recipe for a year. Well, about 6 to 8 months. About 6 to 8 months,
Okay.
and I settled on one recipe, and I ran it another probably 4 months or so. I handed it off to two key keepers in the hobby that I felt were
Okay.
really, really good friends that would come back and say, "Wally, this food really sucks. You killed all my isopods, or this isn't breed. They stopped breeding." I felt like they would be very, very honest with feedback and give me suggestions. They tried it for, I want to say, 4 or 5 months as well. And all that time, I prepared, the marketing material and the branding and everything, with the thought in mind that I wasn't going to put this out until I got their feedback and I knew for sure. And it gave me another 4 months or so to play around with it myself and just make sure, double check. Sure enough, they came back and resounding, you know, uh, uh, support for the Supreme Isopod Chow. So at that point, we put it out there, and it's been growing and growing to the point right now where we're shipping out orders every single day, and generally on Mondays when a lot of people will order the Supreme Isopod Chow and order animals like some isopods or geckos. So Generally, we don't ship after Wednesday. So the Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday orders, we're shipping Monday. So by Monday, we've got the boxes lined up with the animals and the Supreme Isopod Chow. So it's been a big part of what we've been doing from a business standpoint. And gosh, point number two for you business people out there. Here's my business tip of the day. Second business tip of the day: diversify. If you're doing crusted geckos, like you were saying before, Anthony, if you're doing crusted geckos and the market's up, you are winning, as Charlie Sheen would say. You're a winner. Um, if the market's down, like it kind of is right now, you're not winning. So you better have some other source of money coming in somewhere, be it isopods, or be it leopard geckos, or be it leaf-tailed geckos, or be it snake, something. I've
Yep.
always been a big believer in diversifying. We've done shows where we've not sold any crested geckos. No crested. We didn't sell any crested geckos. Yeah, but we sold this much in isopods. We sold this much in Supreme Isopod Chow. We sold this much in Pangea crested gecko diet. Diversify so that you balance the odds. If you keep stocks, if you know anything about stocks, the first thing they'll say, first thing they'll say is buy low and sell high. The second thing that they'll say is diversify so your portfolio is balanced. So you're never a big time winner, but you're never, ever, ever, ever a big time loser as well.
Absolutely.
So
Yeah.
the Supreme Isopod Channel for us has been a big winner, and more importantly, we get this feedback constantly with pictures, and we've had thousands of bags of this food sold, and we had one person that came, and I'm not saying that only one person this has happened to, but we've had one person come back and say, "Didn't work for me." I said, "That's cool. Sorry. Let me refund your money." And I think that's such a huge testimony of this product. I'm really proud of it, and glad that we could produce this for isopod keepers.
That's great. Do you produce any other products? Are you doing anything else under the Supreme brand?
Yes. So we do some merchandise. Obviously, we do some laser printed stuff. I have a little gecko poop sifter thing that I
I
produce for
like that.
small
Oh
tanks.
my
It is
god, I could use that
cool.
right now. I could use
There's a
that
lot
right
of things.
now.
There's a lot of things that I'm doing that I'll do for a long time. For me, I contacted somebody and said I've got these 5 gallons and these big sifters like in my elbow, and I can't turn it, and then I get half the poop and the other half falls out. I need just like a little teeny tiny one that little go in and get my little poop from little geckos. So we went through 6 iterations of this thing, and we raised the handle and tilted the handle and changed it, and then he put the big SG on there, so it was super cool.
That's
And I'm
awesome.
using it. It's like this thing really works for small geckos and small enclosures. So I started putting that on the store as well. But a lot of those kind of things, just it's something that I've used or worked with in my day to day, and put on the store to hopefully help other keepers as well. The other thing that we're doing though is, oh my gosh, 15-20 years ago, I started using a food from a company. Oh, now I'm forgetting the name that they called it. But anyways, I was using this food for a long, long, long time. Um, I was buying like 10-pound bags of this feeder food for crickets and roaches, getting it in, and she went out of business. And she put the note, last orders. Everybody is like, "What?"
Hmm.
Very green, very, very organic food, and I didn't even try to replicate her food. And she went out of business. I said, "Let me buy it. Let me buy the recipe." And the price was way more than I could afford at the time. So I didn't go that route. And she sold it to somebody else. And I kind of watched and watched and watched. And eventually they kind of ran out of steam. They weren't marketing it that well, and they quit producing it as well. During that time, I started trying to create it myself, and I think I hit the recipe. It works for me just like it did hers. I kept a bag of hers, and it looks the same, and it works for me. So a year and a half ago, I started marketing and promoting the Supreme Feeder food, and we have some people that are keeping large quantities of roaches that order a lot of this food at one time. So the
Sure.
very first time a big breeder of feeders contacted me after ordering a lot, said, "I'm I'm a little bit concerned because your food lasts longer than the other foods." And I said, "Well, let's watch that." And after a few months, he came back and said, "Well, I'm producing probably 50% more babies out of these bins than I was before." I said, I kind of thought that, but I wanted to hear that from you
Nice.
because I had proven that out, here years ago when I was doing it and not selling it. And I
Mm,
said, the reason that they're not eating as much is it's a higher quality. That's why it's a little bit more than the foods. If I go to Amazon or eBay and I find cricket food, or it's going to come in and it's going to be like all wheat or wheat
yeah,
and
Yeah.
calcium or wheat. So we've got, I don't know, 8, 9, 10 different ingredients in
that's
ours,
all.
and it's blended to last longer. And that might not sound like a good thing, but it really is because it's a
Makes
higher
sense. It is
quality.
less
And
higher quality. I mean, absolutely.
the
Less
the
food, higher
adults
quality.
the adults live longer, and I get again, just like the other person said, in a bigger breeding setup than I have. I have
Yeah.
like 6 or 8 tubs. They have lots and lots of them. So I feel like I was getting about 50% more babies from the mix from the other person once I started using hers, and I'm getting about the same results with mine.
Nice. That's
Yeah,
good, man. Happy
yeah.
for you, man. I love watching
Thank
you win, Wally. I love watching you succeed. Every time you come out with
watching
something new
anybody.
or something does well for you, I'm like, thank God, a good person is coming up, man. Like, when I see you have a good show or something good, you're a great businessman. And again, like we talked about previously, you adapt, and you almost adapt for everyone's benefit. It's not just yourself, because every time you adapt, your adaptations are helping the hobby. It's never even like you do it for yourself. Like it's
Well, like I said before, if I show a win, there's probably 10 different failures behind that win too.
yeah, absolutely.
I'm more than
Well, that's
transparent to show and share those, and I'm more than willing to.
me.
If you're going down a line, I'm more than willing to step in and say, "Hey, I tried it. It might work for you. Everybody's situation is different.
Mhm.
Everybody has different environments, but I tell you what, I tried this and it didn't work for me, and it cost me a gecko or it cost me this or whatever. It just didn't work out." I'm more than willing to share all of those failures. Again, for every win that I have, there's many, many, many failures. It's just
Bet.
it's either in the nature of the business or it's just me screwing up so many times that eventually I'm going to do something. It's like the blind chicken will eventually find. So eventually I hit a win. After all of these failures.
That's
So, because I was recently just watching a video of yours. It might have been old, but well, not that old. But so when you're starting a new project, right? What are some of those requirements that you look for? Because when I'm starting these my new projects, I'm looking at like, can I get different blood in? Am I able to get some wild caught so I could get fresh blood? Things like that. What about you?
And I've been watching what you've been doing for the last few years, and you're really moving forward quickly too. I'm really impressed. You're doing some really cool stuff. So
Appreciate that.
keep it
Thank you.
up for sure. Keep it up.
Thank you very much.
When I bring in a new project, we've also everybody in the hobby that has more than a few years will say exactly the same thing: do your research first. And you absolutely should be doing your research first. So let's say I'm bringing in a new Chondrodactylus, you know, Chondrodactylus angullifer. A few years ago, I got Chondrodactylus angullifer. So my process was, ooh, they have them for sale. So sometimes you have to kind of jump on it pretty quick and you have to move forward pretty quick
Yeah.
because sometimes these rare geckos don't last that long in the market. But I knew the breeder. Actually, the breeder is from Wisconsin, same as me. Yes, I'm a Cubs and Blackhawks fan living in Wisconsin. Um, so I had the fortune to message the person ahead of time and say, "Hey, Phil, can you kind of fill me in on this and what should I look out for?" I have this, and they're pretty easy. I have Chondrodactylus pulitzeri and Kalahari and Turner. I've worked with all these other some Chondrodactylus. how different is Angullifer? So start asking, how are these different? How are they different? What do I need to do? What's the minimum? What's the minimum? Well, you should have them in like at least a 20-gallon or 30. So what's the minimum? Okay, can I do that? Can I do that? You can't? Then maybe I should be looking at another animal. If I can do the minimum, can I do maybe not the maximum, but can I do another step
Somewhere in
or
between.
a couple of steps forward?
Yeah.
So basically, it's do the research. I can't stress enough, folks. I'm doing a video for Goniosaurus bowanglogensis, a little cave
Nice.
gecko, and I spent all day yesterday. I'm doing the video probably tonight. I'm recording it or tomorrow, and I probably spent 6 hours researching. I've kept a dozen different cave geckos. I've kept bowanglogensis in the past. I probably spent half a day. Well, I was probably playing around with TikTok a little bit of that time, but I probably spent a good 2 or 3 hours doing research. And I go to Google Scholar. I go to here's what I went to the book. I went to the book
There you
and I started reading again. I've read this 14 times already. I read it again and I found out the location. I went to the location on the internet and I found out seasonal highs and lows and rainfall. And so I kind of have a gut feel for how to keep them. But if I'm going to be doing a video, I want to do the research and I want to pass that on to other people that they can know the specifics. If they want to meet, the cooler temperatures at night and cool them down a little bit in the winter. If they do, that's great. If they don't, that's okay too. They just have to realize I just lost my lights. They have to realize that they might not have the same success as somebody else doing the above and beyond kind of things. So I do a lot of research that way to try to get as much information as I possibly can about the animals. I contact other breeders. I'll go on Morph Market. I'll go on Facebook. I'll go on YouTube, obviously, first. Unfortunately, on YouTube, you're going to find 15 seconds of look at my
go.
Chondrodactylus angullifer eating a cricket. Wow, that was fantastic, but that's not going to help you keep them or breed them. So talk to other breeders. Never, ever, ever feel like you're inconveniencing somebody. But, if you're going to do something like that, have your questions in line. Don't just say, hey, how do you keep Goniosaurus bowanglogensis? You want to go to them and say, I read that high temperature is 82 and low temperature is 70 degrees. How do you feel? So ask specifics and try to utilize their time the best that you possibly can. But don't be afraid to go to other breeders and ask questions.
Mm.
Go to a show, go to reptile shows and ask questions. And if somebody has an animal on their table and we have Pachydaktylus aureophilus, and somebody will come up and say, how do I keep that? If a breeder at a show does not tell you how to keep it, or if they say, well, you keep it just like this, I'm going to be blunt, walk away. You want to
Yeah.
know. I'm not there to again do the here's your animal, let me take your money. I'm there to talk about animals and how to cure, because I don't want you calling me the next day and saying, oh, I should have asked you how to do this and I didn't put a heat lamp on it, or I put a heat lamp on it and it died. It's not what it's about. We want to share breeders want to share as much information as we can. And
Yeah.
if you find somebody that's not sharing that information, find somebody else. There's a
Yeah.
lot of, call me. If I don't know, I'll find 2 or 3 other people that can help you, and we'll make sure that we get your questions
Mm.
answered. So that's how I go about a new project. I'll ask as many questions as I can, and I'll walk away from that conversation with one final question, and that is, any gotchas with this? Did you have any issues that I should be aware of? Oh yeah, well, not so much a gotcha, but set Bowanglogensis up with just a little bit of a moist area and make it a little bit deeper than the other substrate, and they'll lay their eggs there. Oh my gosh, that's perfect. Thank you very much. So end your conversation with any very specific thing that might help me with keeping this animal that's not in the books, that's not online.
Mm. Yeah, personal experience. We
Yes.
say on
Yeah.
here all the time, it's we tried to be a podcast for not just big breeders like yourself, but even new keepers. We want to be an open platform where everyone feels like they're welcome and they matter. Your questions matter, your opinion matters, your failures matter. Your
Yes.
failures make the biggest lesson that someone else has ever learned. And you just encompassed all of that and everything you just said, and that's exactly what we're trying to do here for the community. And it's because you're not going to find everything in one book, and you're not going to find one person that's experienced everything. Now, if we can use our God-given abilities to communicate with each other and share information and not gatekeep, we would all be a little better off, and I feel kind of like you said sometimes, like some people will get a species and they almost unfortunately learn the hard way because they're kind of scared to ask a question, or they don't ask. And
Yep.
it's you shouldn't know it all. I see the know it alls mess up all the time. It
Yeah.
happens,
Should
but let's
Happens.
kick the information around. Ask guys that may have the answer you're looking for. Odds are, if you're thinking of a breeder like yourself, when I'm thinking of a specific species, like, oh man, maybe Wally would know. If you're even assuming that Wally would know, I bet you'd probably be happy to answer that question for you. If you can't find it in a book, and I'm not saying just any question, but if you've looked in this book and you've done this research and you've done that, and then you're stuck at a point with a question that you still don't have an answer for, another breeder of that caliber with that species is going to be ecstatic to answer it for you,
Yes.
or should be.
Absolutely, absolutely, and I know that you guys do exactly the same thing. We're here to share information, and that's the way we can make this more fun. It really is.
yeah.
We want everyone to matter. The keeper with one gecko, we want you to have all the information you have to keep that one gecko as close to the wild or naturalistic or whatever healthy you're keeping. We want you to have all the information and tools at hand and access to the tools at hand to keep that thing thriving as we do the person that's breeding 40 breeder collection. We want everyone to have access to the same information, the same minds. We'd love for people to just come together and share, good experiences again and the bad experiences. The more we share, I got a hunch the less bad experiences we're all going to have.
Absolutely, and I think that sharing can go both ways. If I'm sharing about keeping a Chondrodactylus angola for I've asked, I've kept, I've bred, I've raised babies. I still might have questions. I might have questions on, occasionally I'll lose an egg here or there. So, we're all good night. The second we stop, being open-minded and we stop asking questions and we stop trying to improve, we should keep orchids. We should stop. Just stop.
Yeah.
True.
So I remember when I believe I asked you about Cervidactylus, and you were just upfront and honest with me. It's like, I don't know much, but you pointed me in the right direction to talk to Jim McDermott,
Yes.
right? So
Yes.
I talked to Jim, and he started just wham, 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 started throwing all kinds of information at me. And so it made me comfortable enough to go ahead and start buying Cervidactylus now. Uh,
Nice. Nice.
yeah,
Networking, that'll do it for you.
yep,
Yes.
May not have
So I
the
have
answer.
to ask,
Someone
what
knows someone that
I'm
does.
sorry, go ahead, Anthony.
No, I was just saying that's just networking. If I don't have the answer, maybe I know someone that does. It's
yep.
Absolutely. Jason, what sort of dactylus are you keeping? I'm curious.
Oh, I have nubulosis right now.
Nice. Nice.
Yeah.
Very
Yeah,
cool.
they have started chirping. Well, the male has started chirping. Um, Caught me off guard. I was in a totally different room feeding geckos, and I heard something going off. I really thought it was like I had a bird in my house or in my apartment. I'm like, what is that? And then next you know, I see the little male just chirping his butt off. and then I also
Oh,
saw the female was kind of purring and like vibrating as well. I was
oh
like,
my gosh. That's
yeah,
what
it
it's
was a
all
really,
about, right?
yeah, exactly.
Cool.
When this tank right here, I'm not going to be there. We go. This tank
Up
right
top,
here
yeah,
has Surdactylus zabrensis in it, the little zebras,
yes, those are the
and
next ones I'm getting.
they're the coolest. So when I first got these, oh, I can't wait to hear them chirp. No chirps, no chirps, no chirps. It was a month, and I'm sitting in my chair doing something. I'll never be able to do it here, but my chair squeaked the second it squeaked. I
Hey,
heard a chirp. So then for like an hour, it's like, I've got to get that squeak again. So I finally found the right movement, and we played a song back and forth for
that's
like 10 or 15 minutes. It was
That's
so
nice.
cool.
awful.
Oh man,
That's so cool.
yeah.
Are those the ones you did an unboxing of like a couple weeks ago? You got a new species and you were saying you used to have them a while ago and you got, is that what they are?
No, these Surdactylus I can't ever do this online here. I got them about a year ago or so.
Oh,
Wild caught. I did lose a male, so I'm hoping that I can find another male. I've got, I think, 3 females in that tank. But the one that I um, got a couple of weeks ago was Periodora gracilis,
Yes, I did see that
which,
video.
in my mind, I have my every bit. If you've been in the hobby for a while, you have your wish list of your top 5 animals. So gracilis is like number 3 on my list, somewhere around
oh,
there. And the number 1 animal that I have on my list, I'll probably never own because I don't. Been doing this for 25 years. I don't feel like I have the confidence nor still ability to keep it. It's Periodora Masobi, the black, the big eyes,
Yeah,
the bigger Periodora,
I've
very
always
delicate.
heard that people had to keep them in the closet, just
Yeah.
keep them out of sight, out of mind, almost just for them to thrive. Like they're so stressed out and they just pass away.
where are they
Yes.
from? What makes them so complicated?
They're and chime in, Jason. You probably know as much as I do on this.
Hmm.
But Madagascar, they're a
Matt, yeah,
bigger Periodora. There's like, I don't know, 12, 14 species of Periodora, maybe more than that
Are
now.
they all from Madagascar?
The Periodor are. They're
Really?
all endemic to Madagascar. Um, Misobi is like on the top of everybody's list because their body is like jet black, and they have white spangled tubers or dots on their body. So super super cool.
Hmm.
When you see one in person, it's pretty cool. Um, but Jason, like you were saying, I've heard the exact same thing, that it's not easy. They're not easy. They're very, and it's not just environmental. They're easy to stress out. They're just very,
Hmm.
very shy. They hide all the time. You never, ever, ever, ever see them. So now you can't disturb them. And maybe they lay eggs. And do I look for the eggs? How do, so it's not an easy species. I would love to have them, but I just don't think that I could do them justice yet.
Well, that's responsible of you. That's super responsible. That's awesome, to even, to acknowledge that, that it's just not me, not worth me potentially failing, with a rare species. I mean, that's cool, but yet quite intriguing. I'm curious now. Huh?
Jason, you've seen pictures, right?
of the Masobi.
Masobi?
I
Yes,
have.
I have. I could pull it up actually. Let me find it real quick, and we can look see these pictures real quick.
There
Um,
was a guy from Chicago that was selling a pair. This is about 10 years ago. A great, great, great friend, Harold Chapman, if anybody knows him. But he was selling a pair, and he asked me if I wanted to buy them. He literally before it opened, walked over to my table and showed me these. I was like, holy crap, I'm in the presence of the Holy Grail here. And he said, William, I can't keep these anymore. They're 4 years old. They're prime. I wanted you to take a look at them first. And they weren't super, super expensive. And I looked at him and said, Harold, I'm not in a, no, I can't. I don't have the
Mhm.
experience you do. I just wouldn't feel comfortable. If anything would happen to these animals, I would never, ever, ever forgive myself. So it's just an animal that's, for me, you know,
Well,
kind of way up there in the list of animals that I'd love to have at one point when I'm ready.
that's interesting. That's interesting. Just to, I don't even know how to say this, but to, again, like I look at you as like one of these people all the way up here that has the answer, could figure anything out. And just to hear that you have something that's like, wow, he's human.
Well, I think we all have to have that. We have to have that understanding of what our special
Hmm,
skills are, or our skill levels are, I should
absolutely.
say, and know our limitations. And you know,
Absolutely.
I'm not. I never have been. I never will be the person that will get one tank. And this was talking about learning from your fish keeping days.
Hmm.
I'm not the type of person that gets one fish tank and sets it up perfectly and has one pair of fish. I've never ever been that way. Oh, nice, very nice. I've
Oh,
always been
uh,
let me dabble in a lot of things. So I don't think I would spend the right amount of time with this one animal. That is an amazing animal. Right there, the picture on the right is exactly them when you see them in prime.
that's
This
cool.
one right here?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, that was one of my I really wanted to actually try to get that, like, probably, like, 6, 7 years ago, but then I started hearing on how stressful they can get and how easy they could pass away. I was like, "Probably not. That's not gonna be what I'm gonna be getting," but it's okay.
Interesting.
Well, it's
Someday, Jason will have them. You'll
yes.
get them first. You'll breed them. You'll say,
Yeah.
Wally, the secret is this, and then you'll pass
Yeah,
some babies off to me, and I'll have them too. So we'll be good.
right.
Very cool.
Yeah.
I'm super
So
interested in Madagascar species in general right now. I watched a documentary, an Attleboro documentary on TV the other day, and they were talking about all the deforestation and what they're doing in Madagascar. Makes my gut turn every time I talk about it. But I genuinely feel, and I hate to say this, but at some point, a lot of these species are going to have no natural habitat anymore. And the only thing that's going to maybe save us humans and these animals is to have them in captivity and reintroduce them at some point. It's almost human nature to not realize what we have until we've already lost it. It's kind of sad, but what they're doing in Madagascar again makes my gut turn. And anything that comes from Madagascar right now has me super curious and interested. I'm just honed in on this Madagascar stuff. Just uh,
I am too, and now with CITES kicking in the last couple of years and a limitation of the number of exports for some of these, there you go. There's the gracilis on the bottom left.
yep,
Um, the importation of some of these animals are not just limited; they're non-existent. Talking about cave geckos, a lot of the cave geckos have stopped importation completely, and we may never, ever, ever see importation of cave geckos again.
what,
So now it's up to us. Years and years ago, I see Frank's picture there. It reminds me of John Boone, um, a person. Yeah, Jason smiles. You know where I'm going with this.
yeah,
John Boone was in the hobby and was a huge mentor of mine, and I learned so much from him. But he produced a genus, a lot of species from the genus Pachydaculus. And every once in a while, probably a couple of times a year, you'd put here's my available list, and John, got to have these. So every year, a couple of times a year, I get a different Pachydaculus. That
oh,
was 10 years ago, maybe 12, I don't know. But I'd work with them and I'd breed them and I'd pass them on to somebody else. And then John was no longer in the hobby. And then we can't get Pachydaculus, a lot of the species of Pachydaculus out of Africa anymore. Now we may never see these animals again in the hobby ever. And they're just the most beautiful animals. The babies are, some of these Pachydaculus are so cool looking. They're gone. You talk about, some of the keepers of Pachydaculus in the hobby today, like a Mike Walsh, and he'll blatantly say,
yeah.
we will never have that animal in the hobby ever again. They're gone
for what reason?
because we're not going to be able to export out of Africa because they've limited it so much, and or the territories that these animals are found in are so volatile that we
So
just can't
war
get in there
torn.
anymore,
Yeah,
and might not ever be able to. And the breeders that were breeding them is kind of like a yogiism. Nobody goes to that restaurant anymore because it's so crowded. Uh, we don't see these animals because everybody was breeding them, so they weren't rare anymore. So So because they weren't rare anymore, the interest was lost, and we lost the animals because then all of a sudden nobody was keeping them. So it's unfortunate. And Madagascar, like you were saying, Anthony, is just exactly the same.
Breaks.
Gracilis, when the Gracilis became available, it was shocking to me that they were available. So, I had to go out and grab a couple of pair, just in the hopes that I can work with these and reproduce them and distribute them. Maybe get some kind of a pattern or some kind of a secret of keeping these animals and pass it on to other keepers and propagate these animals and hopefully get them more into the hobby.
With all the good reasons, for all the right reasons. That's it's super commendable. Damn, man. Look at this. What's this? Your page, Wally? Supreme.
This is my Instagram. I should keep up with my Instagram page more. I know Instagram is very
Super
popular.
great job. Like, if building this little brand, like you've done an awesome job.
It's fun. It's fun to share.
Seems like you have a great time, man, and that's so refreshing to see. It's not a constant sale because people are, and I'm not knocking the people that do, but every other post is some crazy ridiculous sale because they're getting stuck with geckos. I mean, you always got a smile on. You're always doing something for other
Yeah.
people. You just, even your, I love your business, the ones you do with like your business tips or your, like, man, I watch probably, I can't say that I watch many other YouTube channels as much as I watch yours, but I can go back for years and years and years and just constantly watch something new. It's you do a great job, man. You know what you're doing.
Thank you.
Yeah.
And the hard part with YouTube is I'd certainly like more subscribers. I'd like more views. I'd like YouTube to be more a part of our income stream. And I'm talking, now I've got my business cap on again. So I like all of this, but I was talking to somebody yesterday. You said I always have a smile on.
Yeah.
Well, I contacted somebody about something that they were doing in the hobby, and a good friend. And I said, this isn't right. And I said, this isn't the right way to do it. And we talked. We went back and forth, and it was very constructive and everything. And at some point we started talking about YouTube. It kind of blended over to YouTube, and people are watching this. That's why I'm doing it, because people watch it on YouTube, and I got 69 bazillion views on YouTube. And I said, but is that really you? Is that what you're doing this for? Are you really doing it for the views on YouTube? And he said, well, if you do the same thing, your next video will not have 2,000, you'll have 20,000, and then it'll keep building. I said, I can do that. I can do that. And I can show tails coming off of geckos, and I can show, a tegu eating. I can do stuff like that, but I'll do it for about 3 months and then I'll stop because it's no longer fun and I'll feel like I'm not contributing to the community. If that works for you, that's cool, but that won't work for me. So I'm always going to have 2,000 views, and that's going to be my viral, because that's my ceiling. Because
So,
nobody,
So much.
it's a small niche, and I'll get people to watch and not the broad audience, but that's okay because that I'll sustain that for a long time.
oh
Dude,
yeah. I said I prefer your long form videos over most other people's videos. Like I like information, like I like education.
I learn every
Whenever
watch from you. I learn.
yes, very much.
I appreciate that. And I like to have fun with the videos, and I like to have, fun moments in each video, and I try to make it a little bit entertaining, but ultimately it comes down to I want to teach, I want to share, you know, and this goes back to about I don't know, maybe 6 or 7 years ago now. I lose track of time, but I got a gecko, Tridrus, Hemidactylus tridrus, the termite gecko, from a
Oh, okay.
close friend in Milwaukee. And I got it home. Bill, how do I keep this? Oh, it's simple. You do it like this. Keep it just like this, and they eat it. Well, you won't have a problem with it. Okay. So first thing I do coming home, YouTube, Hemidactylus tridrus, and 4 videos, all of them 22 seconds eating a cricket. And I thought, there's got to be more. There's got to be more. So online, nothing anywhere. So I had done videos like you were saying Anthony, you're watching some of my older ones. God help you, and I'm
Nine,
sorry about that. Um,
9 years.
so so I started doing videos again simply because I had a gecko that nobody was sharing information on, keeping it and breeding it. It was like again a god awful, raw, terrible uh, uh, method of video recording, and but you know you got to get your feet wet with something. But at least it was sharing some information and different things about that gecko. So that was my decision to get back into YouTube, was to share information about geckos that maybe some other people don't know about and you can't maybe find it anywhere else. So that's why I'm doing YouTube.
That's awesome, man. You again,
Yeah.
always thinking other people first, man. It's very rare.
It's not that. It's simply because I have a terrible memory and tomorrow I'll forget it. So I have to record it somewhere.
That's
Oh man. So I said you're a micro gecko keeper.
Yes.
So what was your interest in that stuff? I'm slowly getting into the micros. It's just their eggs scare the living mess out of me trying to handle them.
Oh,
Yeah.
they shouldn't. They shouldn't, Jason. Absolutely not. Um, my interest in micros goes back to the whole dart frog thing. If I wasn't keeping reptiles, I'd be keeping dart frogs because you can keep a lot of them. And again, it gets back to I'm not a one reptile keeper. I like to keep lots of stuff so I can see lots of different behaviors and a lot of different chances to breed. And so if I wasn't keeping reptiles, I'd be keeping dart frogs. Micro geckos are the closest thing to doing dart frogs as you can get because you can keep them in little 3 cubes. You can keep them in the new acrylic containers. Um, oh my gosh, what's this? I can't think of his name now. Herpentimes does
Oh, Armin.
great.
Harmon.
Yes, yes, thank you. He does great, great videos. Talk about sharing information about animals. He does such a great job. My interest in micros is simply because you can keep a lot of animals in a smaller place. You can keep 10 enclosures in the place that you can keep a Leachianus, right? So I like that ability to try different things with the different animals. And there's so many. There's so many in the
Yeah.
colors and the behaviors, and I tell you, it's a lot of fun keeping micros and seeing them interact. You were talking about the chirping earlier. I can relate. I don't know if it's a micro, but it's a small gecko, the Phelsuma clumeri, the jewels,
Mm.
Hmm.
getting on a branch, another one getting on the branch, and just talking to each other, and the wagging of the heads, and the little taps to the heads, and then running around the tank, and then coming back to the same ledge and doing the whole. So it's all that behavior is fascinating to
Yeah.
me.
So
Love
what's your
that.
definition of a micro gecko? Like
Um,
how small would you
Probably
consider a
anything
micro?
under like that Phelsuma clemmer. I would consider. So I'm going to draw the line right now in my mind. Phelsuma clemmeri is the first animal above a micro gecko classification in my mind.
Okay.
So you're talking about like Goniosaurus, not Goniosaurus, Gonatoides. You're talking about
Okay. Yeah.
Lygodactylus, the Williams eye, a good
Yeah.
example. You're talking about Spirodactylus, animals like that. The really small, anything that you can keep like in a 3-ish, 12 by 12 by 18-ish, comfortably, very, very comfortably, is a micro
Yeah.
gecko.
Okay. So I guess my intermediates almost count there. They're almost. I think they're probably probably around the same, almost the same size as a Phelsuma, the Clemerize.
And you know, if you're keeping leeches, then a Periodor pictus is probably a micro gecko to you. It's all perception. It's all how you count it, right?
Yeah. Right.
That's it.
So, all right, we're getting close to the end. Actually, I do want to talk about your buy me a coffee program. How did you get started in that? How did you even find that? Because I've never heard of that until you started bringing it up.
So, have you guys been on YouTube and been in a live session and saw somebody contribute $1 or
Yeah,
$5
like a super chat. Yeah.
super chat? Yes, a super chat. So somebody contributes $1 to a super chat. I think that's really cool, and I never wanted to do it as part of the 12 Supreme Days of Christmas because I never wanted the 12 Supreme Days of Christmas to be monetized, and I didn't ever want to anybody thinking we're only doing 12 Supreme Days of Christmas to get any money for Supreme Gecko. I work hard to be just exactly the opposite of that. But, we get a lot of people on lives. We were getting a lot of people on lives saying, hey, how can I give you $1 for support? How can I give you $5 for support? Well, I never wanted to do the Patreon on YouTube because, uh, to be very honest, Patreon takes, I think it's like 50% of that money. And that's cool because
Oh
they're doing
wow.
all the work and they have the platform and everything. So I started looking at other sources, and like I do everything, I do all the research, and I found a lot of people were going over to other platforms like Buy Me a Coffee and using them because you get 100% of that money. So every dollar that comes
Oh,
in,
okay.
I get
Nice.
100% of that money. So we built the Buy Me a Coffee, and I wanted to have a way for somebody to give me $1, and I called it Feed a Gecko. So feed a gecko for $1 or 3 or whatever. And that worked out really well. And then people were saying, why don't you put a lot of, other information like behind the scenes or your facility, or you use Excel spreadsheets for your keeping track of your gecko information. Keep that on here. You use special vendors and you've accumulated this list of vendors, preferred vendors as you use. Why don't you put that on this page too? Sounds like a good idea. So I did that and I produce, behind the scenes and first look videos and things like that under the membership of the Buy Me a Coffee. So Buy Me a Coffee is a three-headed platform. You can support me by sending me $1 or 2 or 100 if you have 100. That'd be pretty cool. Um, or you can buy a membership and then you can see some of these behind the scenes and you can get my preferred vendor list. And actually, I'm going to plug this a little bit even more. I buy a lot of supplies, for our gecko business, like deli cups. Um, I offer our top memberships a 45% discount, which is pretty much my cost on a handful of supplies that I'm buying in bulk, anyways. So that's one of the benefits. I do sales for our memberships, 50% off of these geckos, or hey, one time shot. I'm going to put these geckos up. I hardly ever offer them for sale. You guys get a first look at these. We do a lot of that kind of stuff for our members. We've built up a list of about, I think we're up to around 75 or
That's
so members
that's awesome,
that,
Ollie.
yeah,
Great.
it helps support Supreme Gecko. And none of that money that I get out of that goes into geckos or food or anything like that. It goes into mics and cameras and lighting or something like we see behind. It goes into trying to help me. It goes into apps that help me produce videos better than what I'm
Nice.
producing right now. So it's going right back into the content creation.
That's awesome.
Nice.
You deserve it. You do enough work. You do enough for the people. That's beautiful.
Yep.
And thank you very much. But I also, and a lot of people have said that I don't mind supporting you because of all the content you create. But I also, on the other side of my brain, I'm thinking, but I have to give a lot of benefits here. So I try to go above and beyond. I want somebody that's paying, $5 a month or $10 a month. I want them to come away and say, this was a deal. We do giveaways. I think last year we gave a couple $1,000s worth of animals away. Um,
Wow.
Wow.
so I try to go above and beyond. So somebody, when they're ready to resubscribe, they'll have no doubt that they're getting benefits for their money.
That's really good right there.
Cool.
I
So for all
definitely need to. Oh,
watching, how can they find you on these platforms? How would somebody that wants to support you, that say maybe watches you on YouTube, how could these guys get to these platforms to support you and find you?
Every YouTube video that we do, we put a link to the Buy Me a Coffee where you can join the Supreme Gecko team. In the very first comment, I usually 90% of the time, I'll say, if you want to support us, you can go to this link. It's simply Buy Me a Coffee /Supreme Gecko. And you can jump on and either support us or buy a membership. Or I forgot to mention, the third thing that I do with Buy Me a Coffee is I offer consultations. And again, they're free to members, but I also offer consultations like $10 for a half hour or hour, and we sit and we chat, and we usually go about 2 hours or 3 hours, or
Awesome.
but it's a way for me to share back or help somebody with business, or how to do shows, or shipping animals, or starting their business, or something about YouTube, or something about a specific animal, that we can really jump into depth. Something that's not just, what's the temperature, best temperature for this. It's a help me understand better how to set up a breeding enclosure system when I have 20 breeders and I want, to set up a system for the babies, something like that.
That's
Nice.
awesome. Dude, so awesome, man.
It's fun. It's a lot of fun. We start talking in these consultation sessions, and it's almost like, I've kept you here for 2 hours. It was supposed to be a half hour. I'm really sorry, and we just have to, close the books on it at some point.
Well, I'm sure they're not sorry. They're like, come on, keep giving me more. Keep on giving me more information.
Let the
It's
roll.
a blast.
Yeah. All right. So where can everybody find you, Wally?
Supreme Gecko. You can go on YouTube, you can go on Facebook, you can go on Instagram, you can go on TikTok and watch me dance. You can go on YouTube. Go on YouTube, subscribe to me. I'd appreciate it so much. Watch a video. If you don't like what we're doing, unsubscribe. If you like what we're doing, hit that like button.
Yep. And give us your top 3 reasons why Pictus Geckos should be more popular.
Well, I feel that number one, Pictus are easy. They're easy to keep. They're easy to maintain. They're easy to breed. It's a great introductory gecko for somebody that just wants to get into breeding, because they can tolerate, arid or tropical. It really doesn't matter. High tolerance of any system that you want to do. Number two, they're a blast for breeders that want to get into the genetics and play around with the genetics and understand more about line breeding, and understand more about combining this with that. And number three, they breed like rabbits. You almost have to turn them off. Seriously, you introduce the male a couple of days, you just kind of wave the male in front of the female. That's pretty much all that it takes. And they start breeding like the next day. The female starts laying eggs the next day. So number three is they're super, super easy to breed, to the point that really seriously, number one issue with Periodora picta is that you really have to watch the females so that they don't. I just heard a chirp
I
from
just heard
behind
that
me.
chirp.
Did you hear it?
Yeah, I heard that.
So you almost have to stop the females from breeding. So
All right, appreciate that. All right, well, thank you again, Wally. This has been a blast, man.
uh,
Like I can't express my feelings towards this as much as I really want to. Uh, I said I've been following you for a long time. Like I said, I love I love. Oh man, I'm losing my words already. I love participating in that 12 Days of Supreme Christmas. I look forward to it again this year. I know I got to feed geckos. I don't know about y'all. I did actually have some hatch not yesterday and the day before, some Stropheris intermediate, so I got to get feed those babies as well. Top of my chihuahuas and a couple cresties I got. Said
always
thank you
something,
again,
right?
Wally.
Always something to feed.
Yeah,
Always,
it is.
there's always gecko poop to clean.
Oh, for sure. Oh my God, I got to go deep clean.
Anthony, Jason, it's been a pleasure on my part. It's been an honor. I really am fascinated with your channel. I really want to see this channel take off, just explode. You guys are doing a great job.
Thank
You're
thank you.
Appreciate
very
that. Thank you very much.
comforting to new guests, and it's just a pleasure to talk to you guys. It really is. In all seriousness.
Thank you. It's been
Appreciate that.
absolute honor. Guys, if you're ever looking for information, I'm telling you, heard what Wally said. Take advantage of his consultation offers. Go check him out on Buy Me a Coffee. He told you the rundown. Go check him out. The man is a wealth of knowledge. I've been doing this for years. I've been keeping reptiles since I was 5 years old. I learned something from this man every video I watch. Go check him out.
You're too kind. Thank you very much. Thanks for having me.
Thank you.
Thanks, Wally.
Bye bye.